Greetings, I'm Demonac. Unfortunately, some audio files from Quill18's D&D section got corrupted. I guess there's really nothing we can do. Unless I recorded that whole section from my end.
As you walk the last of the 1,000 steps down the spiral stone staircase of the deep catacombs of the city, you questioned, not for the first time, exactly how you'd ended up being drafted for this job. Certainly a few of you were here out of a sense of honor, others maybe for the promised reward, still others, you suspect, must be here under the terms of their parole. None of you, and of this there was no doubt, were qualified to undertake this mission, but the city was desperate. Besieged from all sides and facing imminent destruction by vast hordes of enemies, it seemed that there was no choice but to retrieve the ancient orb of Utub from the deep catacombs. Only it held the promise of saving the city, and you were the only adventurers in town when the city fell under siege. Finally reaching the base of the stairs, you find yourselves in a large chamber carved out of bedrock. Raising your torches above your heads, you gaze upon the golden symbol of Utub inlaid on the floor, played in this particular part by the pentagrams because it's just easy to find those symbols. As far as you know, you are the first people to see this room in 12 generations of man, and you have been taught the phrase that will cause the seal in the floor to open the tomb of Utub, where the orb that you seek is located. You'd very much like to do that now, since the city could fall to the siege at any time. Also, it's dark and creepy down here, and probably full of spiders. However, you've been warned that unsealing the tomb will release the Guardian of Utub, which is tasked with protecting the orb. Since you are adventurers of last resort, you will not be strong enough to defeat the Guardian at his full strength. There are 4 ghost spirits bound to the Guardian. Each ghost spirit grants him a powerful boon. Before you can hope to defeat him, you will have to explore the catacombs to discover some way to unshackle the ghost spirits, which will weaken the Guardian significantly. Ideally, you would like to unshackle all 4 spirits, but time grows short and you may have to settle for only freeing a few. So that's the setup. The door to your north is the one that is specifically leading to the Guardian of Utub, hence the symbol and whatnot. That much is obvious. So next up, if Anton Trump wants to give us a little rundown of his character.
Hello. Okay, well, again, Anton is another halfling rogue, but he is a bit more thief-based rather than he can't really take a hit. So I can read out my description as well, if that's all right.
Sure.
Okay. So it's Anton. What are we going to do with you? And that did not go as expected. And as the guard from the watch slowly walked away from the stall, I can't help but reflect on some of my mistakes. I didn't start off like this. I'm no criminal, really. Sure, I didn't have the best start. Family came to the Eisen in the early years of the Third Era. Just a travelling caravan, really, selling bits and bobs. Gypsy stuff. Anyway, eventually we found trade was good, and locals were friendly, and so we settled. We trumped of Eisen. I didn't come from the richest family, but we did our best. Dad don't do much now, not with his back and all. Ma still works at petty jobs, cleaner here, seamstress there. Not no one wants to employ halflings in the sea, not now them dwarves have got any good with the big jobs in town. So I did what I had to do. Who says Miss Mally's going to miss that loaf I took? She ain't going to notice. And them sirs in the jeweller stall got too much money. If anything, I helped him out. It's not theft, it's redistribution of wealth. Bought with them fumes from the factories, no surprise people are going to get sick. Ma took it hard, poison in the lungs or something. Bang, Ma's out of work because of the dwarves again. And we're left without a copper piece to our names. I did what I had to do. Me and the boys in the gang set up a big plan. We were going to pilfer straight from the head engineer himself. That stunty ain't going to know what him. Well, I reckon Colin must have tipped him off or something, because we had barely scaled the walls before the guards came down on us like a ton of bricks. And so now I'm here, sitting in the stalls, in a courtroom, being sentenced for breaking and entering. And that's not all either. They're trying to pin a whole spate of thefts on me. I can hardly leave the Dwarven Quarter, let alone stealing some big job's orbs. And they're sending me to some dark dungeon somewhere. I don't know anything. Ma ain't going to be happy when I get back. If I get back.
Good.
I like that.
Well, it's the accent that makes everything better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Got a lot of cockneys.
Very true.
Alright, next up, we've got Morgan the Butcher Jones.
Woo.
That's me. So, should I read my description?
If you'd like. And again, if you've got like a physical description or something, that could help as well.
Okay. My guy, he grew up in a large town up north with his father and his uncle, and they had a little inn right at the edge of town. And his mom, she died giving birth to him, and he was raised well, and his uncle got married, and they had a little son, his cousin, and his dad joined the army to make some extra money, but he died later on. So when my guy, he turned 15, he also joined the army, and he was in the army for about 8 years, I think. Yeah. And he came back when his cousin was 15 years old, and then he and his aunt and his uncle had died, so him and his cousin and his aunt were the only ones left. So they had to keep a hold of the inn for 2 months, and then the aunt died of a sickness they didn't know what was. And him and his cousin had to manage the inn by themselves, but it didn't go so well. So about 2 months later, the bank came and took the inn. So they sent off to live in the woods because they didn't have any money. And then they lived there for 2 years, and then it was his birthday, and he went out to hunt some orcs. Or not hunt some orcs, but he ran into some orcs, and he killed them. But when he came back, he found that his cousin was taken, and he hasn't seen him since. And my guy, he's about 6 feet and 5 inches tall, and he weighs 225 pounds because he has a lot of muscles. He's very strong, and he has brown hair and blue eyes.
Wow.
Excellent. Next up is Nathaniel.
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you, kind sir. Nathaniel grew up being a...
Ooh, you're very quiet. I don't know if you can get closer to your mic or boost your volume.
Apologies.
Oh, better.
I have to put my mic in this awkward position, but that isn't what we're talking about here. Nathaniel grew up a very, very lucky boy. He was raised by 2 nobles who had trained him in the art of combat, specifically in swordsmanship. When he was 13 years old, his parents had suddenly disappeared. The only clue behind their disappearance was a dagger with a strange inscription that no one he had known had ever seen before. When he was about to embark on his quest to find his parents, a priest who was friends with his parents stopped him and said that he would like to help. He had known that Nathaniel was trained in the art of combat, and he thought that he would be a good paladin, and he knighted him. It has been 2 years since that has happened, and he has traveled halfway across the continent that he first lived on. He is now in this strange land, and he was stopped by who we believe to be guards of the town, and they had told him that they needed his assistance. There was a monster, they had said, below the town that was apparently going to be coming back if he was not stopped soon. Seeing that he had nothing to go on in this land, he thought that if he got along well with the guards and did nice things for them, they would be able to help him more than just asking around. So he agreed, and now he is in these catacombs below the town with these other warriors, he calls them.
Cool, so just to recap, we have 2 rogues, we have a fighter, and a paladin. I'm reading the list correctly in this order. So the next person up is Slemurd Starkiller, who I'm not sure if he got his mic operating or not.
Oh, yes.
Excellent.
Testing. Yep,
Yeah.
we're good.
So give us a, class, physical description, a little bit of the background.
Class, Barbarian. Race,
Arr.
background, pretty much Vikings set in the snow.
We like Vikings.
Yes. How do we agree?
All right, so that's your background, Viking, Barbarian.
Yeah,
All right, we can deal with that. That works.
Yay, it's the Dovahkiin.
Yes.
well, yeah, pretty much.
Next up, we have Tellaz Karr.
Hi. So yeah, Tellaz. What is going on with my window here? Okay. Tellaz. He's a wandering priest of Fortuna. So he's a cleric of goddess of luck, both good and bad. And many of her followers are anarchists or borderline. But anyway, he's a fairly tall for an elf, so he's about 6 feet tall, light brown skin, black half-tamed hair, and just the short-term backstory part I wrote is just I don't think long-term. I take the opportunities that come. But a month ago, I fell into a fairy tale. An old woman told me the tale of an evil, mass-murdering tyrant, Baron Van Mieran, and the heroic rebels who led his people to overthrow him, and how they lived happily ever after. And so did he. They never caught the Baron, who fled his realm and disappeared. But a couple months later, a guy called Berkhold, who looked suspiciously like him, down to the brutal cut to his nose when he was deposed, arrived on the scene in this city. He came out of nowhere with enough money to buy himself a position as district magistrate, a job which doesn't pay very well, unless you're crooked. I don't like escaped tyrants. I don't like magistrates, even clean ones. So I visit the city, but my reputation precedes me and Berkhold's mob connections precede him, along with an annoyingly persistent halfling, which would be Alton Timberpipe. Things get a little sappy, and I spend a bunch of time fuzzy, but his gang catches some kind of blowback from this whole war thing. So he unbinds my legs, drags me around stumbling like my head was worth money or something, until we run into some nice people with a secret cellar and a gallows sense of humor, which I can't appreciate. They say they represent the rulers of the city, and they'll go lenient on my sentence if I choose to help this mismatched bunch find some Hail Mary artifact. Or I can choose to sit in a very small cell and wait until the city gets raised, with me in it, or until they're ready to try me for my supposed crimes. You can guess what I chose. Though I'm curious, as they collapse the entrance behind us, what deal they gave the halfling, because he got press-ganged into this thing too. Just my luck.
Stuff. And last, but certainly not least, we have the mysterious Zero.
Hello. Zero is the firstborn son of a minor noble from a remote and peaceful region. His quick and easy skill with magic has given him the arrogance that comes with youth, privilege, and skill. He's hungry for wealth and power, and eager to test his magic in the real world. He's fiercely loyal to his friends and family, and travels with his 3 retainers: Alana, the head of his household and also his lover, Henry, his personal assistant, and young Sam, who tends to his horse and has a peculiar smell about him. Upon his trusty riding horse Nismo, Zero has set into the world to become an adventurer. And hold on, let's see. He's from the village of Berbelon Fife. He is a young enchanter prone to reckless experimentation, and he's accidentally given himself a permanent enchantment, causing him to appear to others as a large space bear.
What?
Yay, space bears.
Now, some of you might recognize Zero's, chat avatar, I guess you could say, as the same icon that is used for the game Star Drive, which I have made a video for. And there's a reason for that. you're actually the person who made the game, right?
Yeah, that's my game.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking amazing.
Whoa.
Wicked.
Made a game.
Somehow you quit your day job and actually took the plunge to become a game developer. And I don't know, I find that pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, thanks. But, yeah. It was a little scary when I did it. But anyway, I'm just here to play some D&D.
Excellent.
There we go.
A couple of things to note in here. If you guys don't already follow Briarstone and Demonac on YouTube, you should definitely do that. You can find a link to their channel down below in the description box. Briarstone plays video games, and Demonac has a bunch of Dungeons & Dragons type videos, including Tales from our real-life D&D campaign, where he's my dungeon master.
Whoa. Okay.
Got a bit of role reversal here.
Yeah, so I'm going to be super nice to him so that he gives me lots and lots of loot when we get back to our regular game.
Or at least doesn't cause a bump to open up the crate.
Yeah. Now, we are going to get this started. So you guys have like in the description it said, we've descended these staircases. You guys are ready to start exploring the catacombs. You're right outside the door where the Guardian of Utub is, but I would not recommend facing him right now. You're definitely encouraged to go wandering about to try to find some method to release the shackled spirits. Now, these catacombs are very dank. There's a thick haze in the air that, I mean, just smells kind of miserable and moldy and some other form of maybe a rot in the air that it's just unpleasant. But more specifically, what it does is it cuts all vision down here by 50%. Of course, there's not much in the way of light, except peculiarly, as you came down in this area, all these braziers were lit. But otherwise, things are relatively dark, so you may have to use
we go right.
Okay, someone seems to be on free-to-talk mode, and there's getting to be some echo, depending on who's talking. You just make sure you guys are on push-to-talk mode if possible. It'll go a long way to Hordes helping things out. Anyway, so that's where you are now. Basically, you've got west, east, and south as possible avenues at this juncture. Unless you want to brave the Guardian right now, in which case it would be a very short game. You are on a time limit, though, because, well, first of all, we as a party only have a few hours to play. And the village is currently being sieged. So basically, if you guys don't defeat the Guardian by the end of our allotted time, the village will be considered to be lost. Or not the village, the entire city actually will be considered lost. So your goal is to defeat the Guardian, retrieve the Orb of Utub before running out of time.
Okay.
Well, I vote against instant suicide.
You vote against it? Yeah. One thing to note, you guys, if you keep your raid call window sort of in the foreground somewhere, you can see when someone holds down the push-to-talk key, there'll be a little icon next to their names, and you can use that as a bit of an identifier of, you know, who's waiting to talk. Like, if you're waiting to talk, you can sort of just hold down the button and, you know, prompt people or something to that effect. It is going to be a little tricky because we're so many people in the chat, but hopefully it'll work out.
Not a bad idea.
Okay, Anton, go sneak into this room in front of us and figure out what's there. Do some scouting.
When you say the room in front, do you mean to the south?
To the south.
Okay.
Alright.
Alright, so you're going to go to the south. Do you have a light source? Do you have dark vision, low light vision, anything of the sort? I don't think halflings have that in this edition of the game.
Nope, we have torches.
Alright. So you're holding a torch in your offhand?
I suppose, if I want to see something.
Okay.
Well, if you prefer, I could cast light on something. It's a cantrip, so it doesn't cost anything.
Also, I just wanted to mention I do have a bullseye lamp as well, so we can sort of aim it in a direction and see 120 feet out.
Yeah, it would be cut in half here to 60 feet, but the bullseye lantern is definitely the longest range source of light. Of course, the problem is always it's easy for other people to see your light, much easier than you can see them at a distance.
There is that.
But if you want to cast light, you could put it on an amulet or something. I'm sure someone has a piece of jewelry, and that way it would leave your hands free.
Yeah, any item that you can easily cover up, because the spell can still be covered up like another light source. And it has it has 20-foot good light, and then 20 feet beyond that of weaker light.
Okay, well, how about casting on a dagger or something? That could be sheathed.
Oh, I can take care of that. I have the dagger.
Okay, so I'll. If you're the one who's going in, I'll like cast on your dagger or preferably not your main weapon, but I don't know. Could cast on your main weapon. We're probably gonna need light all the time anyway, so whatever. We're doomed to be discovered anyhow.
But
That's fine. If you've got your weapons out because you're going to be fighting, then you're going to want light. And if you want total stealth, well, you may not be planning on fighting right that second anyway, so you could always sheath the weapon at that point. So that'll work out okay.
Hey, could you cast light on? Hey, could you cast light on my battle axe?
Sure.
Good. I want to know
Actually,
where
I'm pretty sure I can only have it on one thing at a time. That's how the cantrip
Oh,
works.
okay. Then if it's convenient, otherwise, if you need to put on something else, go right ahead.
Alright,
maybe
so
I'll cast
our
on the
rogue...
battle axe and not on something the halfling's carrying, because again, the halfling, if he's probably better off trying to work off whatever light is from back here, I'm guessing. Because if he's
Alright,
light,
listen,
he's not gonna
people.
be very stealthy.
This city is under siege, and we are sitting here arguing for 5 minutes over which dagger is going to get enchanted. Let's go kill some fucking trolls or something.
Yeah!
Good idea! Yeah!
It's like this is a very slow start for like
forward.
we have to go.
Move out!
Let's go south! Rah!
It does take some time for us to get acquainted, since we didn't really know each other very well beforehand.
Alright, so the barbarian's moving forward around the corner. And he does have the light on his axe, actually, right? That's what you said. So,
Yeah, I'll cast it on the
let's go ahead and-
barbarian's axe.
Alright, so you know what? You can scooch up right to the corner there. Perfect. And then we will reveal a little bit more stuff. I guess you can see up to about there.
Let there be light.
A door!
So there's a door
And
to the
another
west,
hallway!
and the hallway continues to the east, indeed.
Let's stock up on the door. Okay.
Probably the best idea.
I think the door. I have a
Okay.
good feeling about this door.
Whoops.
To the
Alright,
door.
well, the
Away!
barbarian is currently leading the way, so he decides to walk up to the door, and that's totally fine. Presumably the rest of you guys follow, or not.
Yeah, like, I want to stand in the middle of these guys. Poor me's back here.
Well, you can drag your own icon around. So
Oh, there we go. Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone should have control over their character.
I have to stick somewhat relatively close to Talar there, because, I don't know. I feel like it's part of my duty to keep an eye on him, right, at this particular point.
oh yes, I'm sure I can vandalize so much down here in the ancient tomb.
Well, I just don't want you running off.
Just so
Can
that
maybe
the
try-
viewer...
Please don't
Alright.
do that. I have a spell that will make it so that I can figure out anything that's been defiled, and if you do, it'll interfere with that.
Okay, kick down that door.
Alright,
Do we want to look through the keyhole or something first, or...?
there's no keyhole on this door. There's
Never mind then.
just a push handle, I suppose.
Is there
Okay,
any
how
opening
about we
at
kick
all?
open the door?
Alright.
Or not?
It is slightly stuck. I mean, a lot of the things down here have been around for a while. The wood has expanded. So just do a quick little strength check just to make sure that you can properly kick down the door. But it's going to be a very easy check. So you're
Okay,
going to
roll
roll a d20 and add your strength modifier.
Yep. Okay.
It would be very embarrassing if for your very first action, you as a strong barbarian would fail to open this door.
10 plus 3, that's 13.
Oh, could you actually just roll in the chat window? You
Alright,
can do
I
that.
just gave it a kick.
You know, you can do something like that. Or...
Okay, let's see. Instructions. 1d20 plus 3. Work?
you'd slash roll.
Blah. Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Ah.
You can do it.
Ag.
You can do it.
Automatic, we need you!
Damn
Not,
it.
not in parentheses. No.
Where's the
There's also a button on the left-hand side. You can open a rolling window, but just slash roll.
1d20 plus... There we go. This is much better.
That's a 4 roll, but 5 is exactly what you needed. It was just set to an easy DC.
Yay!
Hey, congratulations. You kick open the door, and it lets, there's a sound as you do it, as all the expanded wood, again, that was really tight against the frame, gives way. But it seems like there's more than that, almost like there was some sort of really airtight seal around the door that you easily overcome by kicking it with all your brute strength. Unfortunately, what comes rushing out of the room is very unpleasant, as you are all overtaken by a cloud of noxious gas, just rotting, fetid miasma. And I'm going to require a Constitution save from everyone.
Hey, I was right.
As this nasty gas comes over.
I'm so glad you decided
to go with stout. Sorry,
21.
It's only going to affect 3 people. The 2 closest to the door plus Nathaniel. You're the only 3 that are close enough to be affected. A 21 is successful. Ooh, the space bar definitely fails.
Space bear.
Now, luckily, it's not very much damage. We're starting you off rather slowly. So it's going to be 4 points of poison damage from this toxic gas.
Ouch. Mage taking it under the shin.
Ow.
Did Nathaniel roll?
I'm not exactly sure what the Constitution modifier. I'm not sure what the Constitution modifier would be.
What is your Constitution?
It's at 15.
Okay, so that's going to be a +2. So you're just going to roll a d20 and add 2.
Rolling.
Oh no.
Nothing in it? Just another door?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, hold on. Sorry. There's the cloud of gas, but it does flow over you and dissipate relatively quickly. There are 2 bodies in there, and in fact, it looks like one of them may have tripped over a tripwire at some point, and you suspect that that's actually the original source of the gas, and it's lingered. However, their bodies have all seem to have been corroded away, possibly by the gas itself. Their equipment, any clothing, is rather rotted and pitted. Even some of their leather armor and various weapons and tools they might have. However, both of them, their actual armor on their torso is in stunningly good shape. One is a suit of chain, or it's a chain shirt, and another one is wearing a leather armor. I don't know, just chest protection. And they are in stunningly good shape compared to everyone else. I'd also like to point out at this point for our viewers, the party has started at level 2. However, I believe everyone just has their initial starting equipment, so potentially a little under-equipped at this point, but we'll see if we can remedy that relatively quickly.
Okay.
So the armor's in pristine condition,
So wait,
despite the fact it's in a dungeon.
is the lever studded? Because...
it's regular leather armor.
Oh, no. Oh, then, I'm good with what I got. My hide armor is better than it. I'll just wait by the door.
Would anyone else like to strip the corpses? Or are you leaving the dead lie?
No, I'm going to go strip that chainmail off.
What's the AC of it? Or how much of it is?
16. I'm stripping it off. See if you can stop me.
In fact, it's going to be... I don't know what the identification rules are in 5th edition. Actually, I didn't check on that. I assume that there is a spell for identification, but I didn't actually double check. Let me see. This is a new system. Identify, 1st level divination. It's a ritual, so it would take 1 hour to cast. You know, just on the off chance that you suspect that there may be some magic about this armor. The fact that it survived the corrosive gas, whereas nothing else did.
All right. Well, have I stripped it or not?
That was corrosive? I just assumed it was poisonous.
I'm taking creative liberty here.
Or
if it
just
wasn't
really
corrosive.
eggy. Or just really eggy farts.
Now, given that we're on a time limit, it takes an hour to cast, and one of our precious spell slots that we don't have that many of, we're probably just not identifying anything in here at all.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Alright, so you
Yeah.
loot the bodies and then move on. Alright, that's fair.
Okay, I'm taking that chain vest and I'm putting it on my awesome ripped chest.
Hope it doesn't kill you.
Alright, you put it on. And it's quite nice, actually. The chain links are obviously of the highest quality. They flow over each other without ever, getting any sort of kinks or knots in them. The whole thing seems to have been made to fit you perfectly, as if it was handcrafted specifically for you.
Yes.
Suspicious.
So, I will tell you, just so that it's going to be a little quicker later on, it is a +1 chain shirt, so it will improve your armor class by 1. So, you have another door to your south. You, of course, still have the hallway to your east, and the 2 hallways you've left behind. Looks like the Barbarian is ready to chop down a door again.
Yeah!
I back up from this door. In fact, back out in the hall. Yeah.
Actually, before you go in, I'm gonna cast a cantrip on you. I should have been doing this all along. I can cast Resistance. It'll give you plus D4 on your next saving throw, as long as it's within a minute.
Excellent.
Actually, it's not your next save. You can choose to use it, so if you could decide not to use it and save it, but it's still going to wear off in a minute.
So it's good for taking down doors. Whoops, that is not exactly how I want to do that. There we go.
Would it
There
cost
go.
you anything?
You kick open this door. This door opens a little bit easier. Again, it was a little stuck like the last one, but I'm not going to make you roll for every door here. We'll just assume that you succeeded. Maybe the next door I'll make you roll for.
So these cantrips, I can only have each one with 1 copy active at a time, but I can actually, always, it's at will, I can just always have someone buffed with resistance as long as we've had time in between. And I have another one as guidance that adds 1d4 on just regular ability checks that are not attack rolls, saving throws, or what have you.
Cool.